how we scaled this beauty brand to $60K a month in less than 90 days. Now, of course, this is a case study breakdown step by step showing you what we introduced from our protocol with this brand specifically to generate said results. Now, if you're interested in learning more, you can check out scalevelocity.io. I operate a growth consulting firm where essentially we'll help set up DTC brands for exits. So that covers everything A to Z, right? Generating first order profit, extending LTV, building in-house, and ultimately building a community for your customer base. Now, that's ultimately what I'm going to dive into in this video. The objective we set forth with this beauty brand before we onboarded them was pretty clear. The founder laid the expectations and laid the value proposition on ultimately the goal, what the objective was. And the objective was pretty much to generate as much first order profit as possible. Now, the issue with what the agency before us did, where the lack of expertise was ultimately, there was a lack of organization from campaigns being launched. You had different SKUs being pushed at the ad level with different ad creatives. You didn't have extensive creative testing. You only had one-off images and a lot of just random UGC videos. There's no coherent implication of data feedback, or there's no feedback loops in general to optimize or even test potential concepts or expand on winners. Another issue with the agency before us was lack of knowing numbers. There's no KPI, there's no target CPA. It was just throwing random stuff at the wall hoping it sticks. Now, when we came into the mix, when we were onboarded the brand, the first thing we did was, okay, we need to establish KPIs. We need to know our numbers. And that is very important across the board. Doesn't matter what brand or what industry you operate in. It's very important that we understand what our target CPA is, what our AOV value has to be, and ultimately what we need to do to generate first order profit on the front end. It's far easier to reverse engineer backwards on what your objectives have to be than it is to go in with no strategy at all. We want to understand what our numbers are. We want to understand what our gross margin is. And we want to expand our gross margin to 75% because we have more net profit left over. We want to hit around 15 to 10% net profit target. Now, in an ideal scenario, how can we reach a gross margin over 75% given that our SKUs probably aren't at that high AOV level? Now, this is where bundles come into play. Bundles work really, really well because they can raise your overall AOV, they can increase your gross margin, they can increase your net profit. So this is where if you have a single SKU and you're not within that gross margin target, you might want to look at putting all of your hero SKUs together into a bundle, pushing down the front end from paid ads so that you can increase your gross margin, you can increase your net profit, and you can raise your overall average order value. Now, there are second, third order consequences when it comes to raising your average order value. The perceived value of your product goes up in the market now because you're no longer competing on price. When people look at your brand and they compare a $100 ticket to a $25 to $30 ticket from your competitors, ultimately the value proposition is, okay, this brand charges higher ticket, therefore the product must be higher quality. There's just something subconsciously that happens with higher prices. As a byproduct as well, your customer demographic base, you're training them to not buy off of discounts. Now, if you do have a discount tied to raising your average order value, you're still training the customer to spend over $70 to $100 on the first order purchase, which is what we want to establish. We want to work with customers that value us, that are cheapskates. We don't want bottom of the barrel customers. We want customers that are willing to pay high ticket to do business with us. Now, the second phase to coming with coupling this with your KPIs is you need a grand slam offer. If you're pushing a front end bundle and you're trying to hit KPI, well, one of two things needs to happen. Either your CPA or your cost to get an acquisition, that has to be lower than your AOV, or essentially that's how you make profit. Your CPA has to be lower than your AOV. Now, how can we do this? It's hard to lower our CPA in a given amount of time because we need a ton of creatives, we need a ton of testing, we need to figure out who our ideal customer profile is, and we need to figure out the angles that align with that. Now, with that objective in mind, it's far easier just to establish a higher AOV from the get-go. So this is what we did with this brand in particular. They had 2 winning SKUs, put them in a bundle, pushed it on the front end, coupled that with the grand slam offer. From there, we raised the AOV because we combined 2 hero SKUs together, and the unit economics were super profitable. And then from there, as mentioned, with this front end AOV push, our CPA was the same. Universally, it was the same historically. Now what we did was just raise AOV, which just put us within profit. And then after month 1, going into month 2, we started to see winners from our initial creative test. Now the third phase is, okay, we started to see first order profit. Then we expanded the creative flywheel system. From there, we really pushed. We went from testing 2 to 3 ads a week to now testing 10 to 15 ads a week. So we ramped up creative production. We built the internal team in-house. This is where we had a creative strategist. We had an editor. We're going to add a creative coordinator. But nonetheless, that is the flywheel. We had a creative strategist pumping out concepts, the editor coming in behind the creative strategist, making a ton of concepts. From there, we were just testing a lot of ads. And as a byproduct, we had winners. We had up to, I believe, 15 winning ads to run while in season. So you couple that with scaling pretty hard with first order profit. The last phase on our end was just extending LTV, which is just a casual subscription push while sending traffic to a Facebook community. So we coupled all of these factors. We knew that we had to lower our CPA. We knew that we had to raise our AOV. We knew that we had to couple that with a grand slam offer. And ultimately, we knew that we needed to extend our LTV. So we did all of that with understanding our numbers, combining bundle SKUs, crafting that grand slam offer, pushing a subscription on the back end, and sending traffic to a Facebook community. Now, those 4 steps can be replicated for your brand today. Doesn't matter what stage you're at. Now, if you want to skip the phase of you getting burned by ad agencies and spending 10, 15, 20K retainers a month, check out scalevelocity.io, where we just simply help you build a house for an exit. With that being said, guys, I'll see you in the next video.